This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places. Between payroll, your tax consultant, and the IRS. If your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Claudia Monicelli. I'm your host for this podcast, Let's Talk Soul. Today, I'm excited to introduce Dr. Kelly Bohnhoff. Kelly, say hello to our audience.
Hello, Claudia and audience. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Kelly is the founder of One Sacred Family, and that is also the name of her website, onesacredfamily.com. Dr. Bohnhoff's mission is to empower families through messages of hope, of healing and transformation, helping them transform fear, that horrible green monster, into freedom. With personal experience of childhood adversity and over 35 years of experience as a registered nurse and trauma therapist, she discovered that within every traumatized family lies a hidden power, a sacred potential waiting to be remembered and to be awakened. So, as I mentioned before, you can find more about her and her mission on her website, onesacredfamily.com. Well, where do we begin? So we're talking about trauma. There has been, there was trauma in your life, and you deal with trauma. Is that the truth? Is that what I'm deducing from your experience, and you're transforming it into a healing process?
Yes. And so my family, we all parachuted in as planned. So again, this comes from a spiritual awakening perspective that was new to me in 2021. So we parachuted in, and as the oldest of 4 children, I had 3 jobs, which was to keep my mother healthy, my father happy, and my siblings safe. So at a very young age, I knew that we were in some kind of heavy energy, which I referred to as the shark tank. So we were deeply submerged in fear, in a lot of heavy energy of pain and struggle. And this, of course, as a little girl, none of us get taught this in kindergarten. Right. We had, actually come into this particular experience to heal
for a
through
reason.
these ideas.
Wait a minute.
And
Before you go on, I want to clarify, because a lot of what you're saying is a little abstract. So when you say we parachuted down, you're talking figuratively, I imagine, right?
Well, actually, so the perspective that I finally understood how to heal families and move the energy of fear into freedom is that from the spiritual perspective, we're all interconnected, and we're all energy. And so if we're energy and we have pre-planned, which we have, to come in with this cast of characters, the question is, how do we navigate through intense suffering as a family that has been tens of thousands of generations in the making? And so because we were experiencing spiritual amnesia, so our families have an amnesia, your family isn't who you think they are. And
wait, let's go back. Let's talk about that amnesia. We're talking about spiritual amnesia. Now, what do you mean by that?
Spiritual amnesia is the ticket to the show that we said, hey, so we are infinite intelligence, pure love, and sacred energy. You can call that source or universe or God. And we are making a decision to come into this particular realm and forget that we are powerful, to forget we are sacred, which is worthy of
Well,
unconditional
yes.
love.
Well, there's a big
And so when we
issue.
forget, and
Yeah.
now we're overwhelmed by suffering.
Yeah.
So when so many families, including my own, are on something I call the merry-go-round of survival, and we don't even realize how powerful we are, it's that hidden power I'm talking about, that hidden potential, then how do families who have been traumatized? So let me just start with, what is trauma?
Right.
What is family trauma?
Sure.
Because family trauma is any life event that disrupts the mind, the body, and the spirit from staying in resonance with one another. So when you're little and you have to go into hypervigilance and you have to survive, then your intuition, your imagination, your inspiration goes dormant. In other words, your sacred nature goes dormant, because the only thing that you can focus on is surviving.
Right.
And so I noticed this pattern that when the light goes off in our children's eyes,
right,
and that has to do with the parents have lost their light or their glow or their understanding of their sacred nature, then it's no wonder that we've been echoing this energy that's really heavy for so long.
Yeah. Now, of course, God forbid we have to pay the bills, and that takes its toll on removing the light from someone's eyes in a family. Trauma comes in many colors and many flavors. Now, it's as small as paying the bills, as important as getting raped, as crushing as being in a terrible accident and being on death row, literally. Now, when did you actually decide about your role, in terms of your role as a healer for others, not only your family? You mentioned 2020, 2021, but I gather it's not that date.
So for me, I was exploring the energy of, in my case, childhood adversity included trafficking. So
Okay.
I was caught in the net of trafficking as a child.
Trafficking of minors,
sex
adults,
trafficking.
sex trafficking.
Yes.
Of adults,
yes,
or minors?
at the age of 10,
Okay.
children.
Okay.
So I had some experience in this kind of heavy energy.
Yes.
And so it was always, because I was born an empath but didn't know it, I went and became a nurse and a trauma therapist, because I was truly trying to understand what's going on with my family. That's why I wrote this book behind me, because I couldn't figure out what was going on with my own family. So I spent all of many, many years understanding it from the mind and body perspective, but I didn't understand it from the fact that we were energy and that we had chosen to come.
Soul.
So in 2021, I was in so much pain after the pandemic as an essential worker. I had been moving the energy through my body for 57 years without knowing. So I got really, really sick. And this was a usual pattern for me. So when I got sick, I did something I had never done. I went to acupuncture. And when I went to my first acupuncture appointment, it opened the meridians of my body. And I had an out-of-body experience, which is what led me to a dream, to the vision, and then to the understanding that it's the mind, body, and spirit of families, and that our families are quantum, so they're energy. So the way for the echo to slow down in a family, no matter what the situation, circumstance, and condition of the present moment is to slow down the heavier energy, notice the pattern, and then intend through attention
That's important.
and inspired action to slow down the pattern, to shift the pattern into the higher frequencies, which begins with the vibration of courage and willingness.
When you say slow down, is there something you do or something you suggest people do to actually slow down the energy?
Yes. And it was interesting, because the last 4 years I've been in this chrysalis trying to understand this myself as I'm now coming out into the world with the
Yes.
YouTube channel and the website. And it's this, I realized I was doing something to slow it down, and I call it free in 60 seconds.
Sorry?
And there are
Bre-
free in 60 seconds. I
okay,
could be
free.
free in 60 seconds by doing the next three things.
Mm-hmm.
And I did them religiously whenever I noticed I was sinking into heavy energy or a pattern with my husband or my child or whatever. The first thing, remember, Claudia, when we were kids, that
Yes.
in school, if someone was on fire, they would tell you to stop, drop, and roll, right?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Of
Stop, drop,
course.
and roll. So it came to my mind that my body was on fire. In other words, because there was so much anger and rage that I hadn't processed. So I'm thinking, well, what would I do if I was on fire? And I realized I would, so I did this stop and be still. So interrupting a pattern in an argument, interrupting my inner critic, interrupting a pattern that was heavy, I would stop
Completely.
in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
completely. I would drop into 3 deep breaths because my nervous system was nervous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would take 3 deep breaths. So I would stop, I would breathe 3 times deeply, and now I would be. So it's stop, drop, and be in the present moment, allowing the energy, whatever was needing to come through, as whether it was an ugly cry or a scream or whatever. I mean, you get a pillow, it depends on where you are, right? But you honor the energy that's attempting to alchemize, transform through your physical body. Our body is the technology. So we are here to heal the trauma through the movement of this heavy energy. This is the ancestral trauma and karma that we have all come to clear. And so stop, drop, and be. And at the beginning, when I was trying to slow down my inner critic, the actions going on in my world with people that seem to be really hiss and spit and spicy words and all of that, I would stop, drop, and be. And I would ask this question.
Okay.
I wonder what this is helping me heal.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going into compassionate inquiry.
Okay.
So I became more self-honoring, that this is something I'm here to heal. This is something I'm here to learn. This is something here to understand. And I moved away from personalizing or blaming anyone else, because in the end, I realized I am the creator of my reality.
Yes. Yes. So this is you one-on-one, Kelly, with Kelly. Now, if I go to your website and I need your help, what would I find there?
What you would find is a free guide on the hunt for joy, because joy is what we can bring into our families very quickly to raise the energy. So including joy in our lives. They would also notice something called Look to the Stars, which is stillness, thankfulness, affirmations, reflections, and showing up, which is a part of the Hunt for Joy, the free guide. Mm-hmm. What's coming online now is the Circle of Life community, which will be a library of 250 resources that families can access to heal trauma, unlock their hidden power of resilience, wisdom, and genius, and to remember what is sacred, which is them and everyone around them, because we're all kind of surfing each other home in this energy. Lots of energy moving, lots of things coming up to be healed in our world. And so they would find lots and lots of resources. And then there will be meditations and monthly question and answers on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So, and on social media, I'm doing a lot of mixed media affirmations and other things to help family kind of in real time.
Great. So I gather from what I'm hearing that you work with families and not by single family members and not with one-on-one?
Yeah. So for many years, my love of families has been my earliest memory is I am devoted to families healing all together, because you can't get families into a room, right? And so I know, because our own family, generations of my own family are healing based on these things that I'm talking about right now. And because of that, I wanted to go to a global audience to give them these ideas so they can take them straight into their own homes. So nobody has to get online or go to therapy. Now I'm not saying that that's not helpful along the way.
Of course.
But what I'm saying is if we want to heal families and the generations of families, then they have to know they are the healer they have been looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Now, along the way, after the creation of your website and various goodies that you have, did you ever, and this is a curiosity of mine, have you partnered up with anyone who is in tune with what you do?
Well, it's interesting, Claudia, because the podcasters that I've been honored to spend time with I was all guided to. And so the podcast audiences and the podcasters themselves have been synchronistically brought to me in alignment with this particular message.
When you think about your future, you know what calls to you. Meaningful work, happiness, growth, and sharing these values with others. But how will you find all of that? There are many paths forward, including one you may not have considered. The military provides countless opportunities to pursue your calling, where you can be part of something bigger than yourself, while still being yourself and having the future you want. You have a calling, we have an answer. Learn more at todaysmilitary.com.
And so, yes, I would say from a media and television perspective, I am partnering with many people who have this same kind of curiosity about the spiritual unfolding of families. And is this something that could actually end childhood adversity as a way of life?
Well, I don't know. That's a big loaded question because behind the eyes of a child lies so many things that it's difficult to fathom or to even imagine or invent. All I know is that I work with an audience of adults from 18 upwards. And despite the age, despite whether they are 50, 60, 70, 30, 55, they still talk about, well, trying to give responsibility to their family for the difficulties they have, and I thought, well, how old are you? And it's difficult because at one time you really have to cut that umbilical cord, not to separate yourself from, of course, you have to know where your roots are, but to understand that you are a different person every moment of your day. This is interesting. I especially like, Kelly, the way you express yourself in non-religious terms, in not even highfalutin spiritual terms, which is pleasant and can be understood by a broad audience and even an international audience. Let me ask you, I mean, here again, it's my curiosity. Have you come across a situation that really surprised you, that you didn't expect? As a healer, I'm thinking.
Yeah, as the healer, I keep thinking of this one beautiful woman in her 30s who had 8 children. Had an oldest daughter and 7 little boys, and she had all these children within a period of 10 years. And single mother, five fathers, and as I walked into her beautiful home of what I call chaotic wonder and joy, right? So
Yes.
I'm always about the energy that's flying around.
Right.
I sat with her one day and I asked her, she was an only child. And I realized with all this energy running around, I just asked her one day, how are these children helping you to become the greatest mother that you have ever known?
Interesting. Yeah.
And she said, it's an interesting question, right? It's a very empowering question. And she
Sure.
said, I kept thinking that if I could just have a child and build my tribe, that I would feel love again.
Oh.
And so she kept having children to build her tribe. And I said, well, how is that going? And she said, it's not turning out the way I thought it would.
Yeah. Poor woman. So what will she do, or what has she done?
So what we did was I reframed her entire experience and the entire experience of the children by saying, Did everyone know that they are magical? Did everyone know they are sacred, worthy of unconditional love, and that the 9 of you together are a unit of divine love in action? So all we need to do is figure out where the heavy energy is and how everyone's feeling, from the oldest child to the littlest child, and what their symptoms were. And we're going to integrate joy, gratitude, and a sense of abundance energetically inside the family's routine. And
Look,
what we noticed,
my first question is,
yeah.
how long did you intend to work with her?
Yeah,
is
and
that
so
17-year-old 20 now?
Well, this was several years ago.
Okay.
And it's interesting because the oldest daughter did go on to have her own children.
Oh.
And so the pattern did continue.
Uh-huh.
Having said that, what I know is that all of those beautiful people in that unit of life, I call them expressions of life, each have a soul contract and blueprint. Everyone had decided to come into that family. The question was, what's going on with my family? Right. And what is it we were meant to heal together? Exactly. And then what were we meant to learn as an individual soul, but also a collective soul? So the moment they realized, they actually intentionally came in, and now we're curious about, why did they come in? Sure. Why did they come in together? Why was this cast of characters here? Well, now everybody had a new way of looking at things in a more empowered way. And Claudia, that is the key, from a disempowered state of trauma to an empowered state with a new narrative. And these energy shifts can be incorporated very simply with intention. If a family truly wants to end the cycles in their families, not all family members will want to, but it only takes one to shift their energy, to know thyself, to hold what I call the Wi-Fi of divine love that ripples into a family. And now it's the start of a brand new situation for all families, present, past, future.
Yeah. It's such a refreshing look at life when you take for granted, but others do not, that we're here thanks to a family unit. Whether that family unit stayed together or not, people forget. And many people who experience rage think, I never asked for this, And then, of course, there are so many people who come to me and want to know, what is my life purpose? Why am I here? Without ever thinking it's right there around them, and they have a role in that. I find, and this is generally speaking, obviously, that people want to go out of their current situation, their current living situation, their current family. Will I be moving to Jabib? Will I be going around the world? Who am I going to meet who will take me away from? And it's quite difficult to see the lack of joy around so many individuals. And oftentimes, I have to accuse myself of this. Sometimes it becomes so heavy that I think to myself, Jesus, Claudia, who are you to go around trying to help these people who don't want to be helped? And it's difficult. It's difficult. But it's fabulous. And I know that our listeners, our audience, don't have the benefit of a video, but I'm here looking at Dr. Bohnhoff, and she is aglow. She's glowing, which a constant smile on her face. And no matter what she says, it always has that light that comes up. And it's rare. This is rare. It's a gift as well, because we have to give thanks for the gifts that we have. Kelly, I don't know where to, how to say thank you for coming on. I'm so grateful. And even if only one of our audience members go to your website or your social media that I will list underneath the episode, that for me will be success. This is an important message. Definitely an important message. One last question. It's a curiosity again. Do people ask you things like, well, what do you see in me? Do you see black energy? Are there ghosts around me? Or do you think I have a curse on me? Do people talk like that to you?
Of course, ever since I was a little girl, everybody's brought their deepest, darkest secrets to me.
Yeah.
And I wrote a poem, and it'll be out on social media on Monday.
Good.
And it's called "When I Look at Your Family, What Do I See?"
Very
and
interesting.
so I invite people to just go and listen to that. But here's what I say to everyone who asks me that question, and many do. And I say, what do you see in me? And they say, oh, well, you're joyful and light, just what you were saying, Claudia.
Right.
And I said, and since I am a mirror of you, then that is all I see in you. It doesn't matter if you are struggling with alcohol or bad relationships or job issues or children running left and right. To me, you are divine love in action, just haven't remembered yet.
Yes.
Who you and your family truly are. And so this shift from fear to freedom starts with this remembrance. So I wonder, is there more to me than I thought? Is there more to my family than I thought? And when we wonder, so I start everything with, I wonder, because that brings us into curiosity rather than blame.
Right. Yeah. As you were talking, it made me think of a past experience I had. I can't remember what the context was. It was probably me and my husband and how awful I was to him, and we were trying to get counseling, something like that. I came across a suggestion on the part of a professional, and they suggested I go to family counseling, but not bringing in the family. We didn't have children at the time, but the idea was drawing maps of all of the family members, and we talk about every member, and through that remembrance, there would be a healing process enacted. But I never went through with it because then we kissed and made up, and so we didn't have to go back to therapy. But there are so many, let's say there's so little done at a family level. And I applaud you, really, Kelly. Thank you so much for coming here, but also for the work you do. You're valuable. I hope we can talk again.
And me as well, Claudia. Thank you. And to the audience, I want you to know, may you remember and celebrate your sacred nature today. You are who you are looking for. Your family is who you came with to help heal, unlock, and remember. And I'm right here. If you need any support and guidance, if you have any questions, just hit me up in the social media and I'll answer those questions for you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for your time and for that great closing message. Again, I will have the opportunity to come across your path, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow Let's Talk Soul Podcast on Instagram. Let's Talk Soul Podcast is a production of Electrocast Media. Our executive producers are Mark Netter and Peter Rafelson. If you like our show and like what you hear, please subscribe and give us a rating wherever you enjoy podcasts. And remember, stay curious, stay inspired, and never stop exploring the depths of your soul.
Hi, everyone. I'm Geraldine Glass, a leader in the field of music as medicine, and I'm excited to share with you my newest release of healing sound, Pentatonic Visions, with Chris Scholler and Electrocast Records. Immerse yourself in ethereal realms where the harmonies of nature, tribal rhythms, and soundscapes blend with the crystal singing bowls. It's out now, streaming on all platforms.